Now that we've looked at some of the concepts and vocabulary related to databases, we can now work on communicating with a database using the language of relational databases, which is SQL, structured query language. Those in the industry tend to say SQL. Those who are primarily in academia will say SQL. So when you're talking with someone, you can usually tell their origins based on which term they use. We're going to go through a few common commands and then take some time to try some of the exercises, and we'll be using the TriSQL interface that's part of W3 Schools. We can also look at the SQL tutorial, part of the same platform. So those links are embedded in these notes. Let's head over to the tutorial. Here we have the SQL tutorial from W3 Schools. There's an introduction, some explanation about syntax, looking at this customers table, which we will use in many of our examples, okay? So here we can see one of the tables from that larger database that is a supplier company. It's basically a company that seems to be supplying different businesses with materials, food, different kinds of products. They keep track of the suppliers, the shippers, the employees for these different organizations that they support. So the names of the customers, some of them are in different languages. They could be cafes, restaurants, grocery stores. A lot of them seem to be something food related. Okay, so I would recommend going through some of these and familiarizing yourself with the materials. This is really good documentation. We're going to start off with how to select information from a database using queries. Okay, so in the notes, you will see several exercises to try, and we're gonna implement some of these and notice the results and talk about some of the different things we can do to select specific information from the database. Okay, so now I'm in the TriSQL editor, and you can get there by clicking some of the links that are in the notes and in the information for this lesson. So the first thing I would like to do is a basic select all. So when we select items from a database, we use the keyword select, right? That's often called a clause. The star represents all. And then we usually want to indicate the source for the data that we want. So let's try selecting all from the customers table. And then we can run this and see the results. So I am working with that same database that has the different customers and the suppliers and shippers and orders and things of that nature. So you can explore those tables right in this interface by doing a select all or looking at the panel all the way to the right. When you open this up, you'll see a list of all of your tables in the database, and you can work with that. So let's say we'd like to extract something a little more specific. We can do some filtering by using what's called a where clause. So we'll filter using the term where. And let's say I want just the country equal to UK. So I'll type that in. Notice the color changes for the clauses that I use and for the value that I'm selecting from that country column. If I run this, I see all of those customers that have a country in the United Kingdom. Okay. So again, they look like businesses. I can also select something even more specific and indicate a column in the table. So we'll practice selecting the address, all of the addresses from customers that are located in the United Kingdom. Okay, so that gives us just the addresses for those 7 records. Okay, let's do a few more things with this. Let's suppose we want to select all of the customers that have a customer name length that's greater than 15 for some reason, supposing that gives us some information we're looking for. So we'll do select all from, let's do suppliers this time. Select all from suppliers where the length of the, let's say the length of the contact name is greater than 15. Okay, so that gives me these 3 records from the suppliers. So that could be something, that could be a query that somebody writes to narrow down their search a little bit. Another useful thing we could do is we can select items based on some kind of keyword or a partition of a keyword that we'd like to extract from the table. So I'll do a select all from customers where the name, let's say where customer name and then here's another clause we can use. Notice it turned blue. It's recognized to specify a keyword to partition some data from this database. I use these 2% symbols. Okay, and that's in quotes. So what this is going to do is look in the customers table in the customer name column for any customers that have the word food in their title. Remember, these are businesses. So we have just the one, right? So that just gives us this one record, Great Lakes Food Market, Eugene, Oregon. Okay. There are some additional things we can do. So if you go through the exercises, you're going to see many opportunities to practice. The next one will be sorting, and we have some exercises that involve inserting and updating information into the database. I would like to go over one of the more complex types of queries. I'll leave the rest for you to explore, but let's take a look at what's called a join, an inner join, where we group together information from multiple tables. Okay, so let's build this together. I'm going to do a select customer name. I'll leave it at that, and then I'm going to add more to this. So I'm going to select customer name from the orders table, but I'm also going to combine that with the customers table. Okay, so here's where I would type in inner join because I want to combine information from 2 different tables, and those 2 different tables are the customers and the orders. Okay, so those are the 2 tables I want to join together, combine together. Next, what I have to do is specify how those tables are connected. So what is the foreign key? What is the key that combines both that shows up in both the orders table and the customers table? If we want, we could look back to our diagram to see that information. So if I take a look at the diagram here, I can see that I have orders and customers, and they both contain the customer ID. So let's go ahead and implement that. So from here, I would say on orders, that's the name of the table, dot customer ID, that's the name of the foreign key, and then I set that equal to customers dot customer ID. And what that does is match up the appropriate columns, right? Because we want the customers who place certain orders to be matched with the with those exact orders that correspond to them and not to some other customer. So this is how we make sure the rows match. Okay, let's run it and then we're going to make some modifications to this. Okay, 196 records were returned, but what I would like to do is group this by customer name and then add a count. I'd like to find out how many orders certain customers placed. And in order to do that, I'm going to use a group by customer name so that I will have this information on how many orders each customer placed and have that associated with the customer name. So to find out the number of orders that a customer placed, I could count some record from the orders table. And what would make a lot of sense is to use the order ID. So count the number of records in the order table corresponding to the different customers and collect those according to the customer name. That's what I'm doing here. So what that achieves is a table that looks like this. So we've basically created a new table by doing this join process. I have the names of the customers and then how many orders they placed. And I have 74 total records. So this, as you might see, is pretty powerful and can provide useful information about